Hello and welcome to Huddersfield Town's preview show ahead of tonight's game against Cardiff City. This is in association with Sports Broker. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by former Town goalkeeper Matt Glennon, former Huddersfield Town and Cardiff winger Anthony Pilkington, and Matt Murray, who played under Mick McCarthy at Wolves. How is everyone? You okay?
All good.
Yeah, all good, thanks.
Thanks. A couple of keepers love that.
Please still make some sense anyway.
Yeah.
We're in safe hands, that's for sure. Matt, first of all, we said, didn't we, on Tuesday, it was a big game. It's another big one tonight. It's almost like 12 cup finals for us.
It is. They've got to start picking up some wins. I said, regardless of the fact it was Birmingham, a relegation rival, they've just got to start winning football matches. The game against Birmingham wasn't great. In honesty, the quality was, well, it was atrocious. Let's be honest, it was a very nervy performance. A lot of people, they couldn't get passes together. That was both teams. I felt Huddersfield edged it and should have got the win. They were the better side, but that doesn't say very much with the way the game played. But coming into this Cardiff game, unbeaten in 10 since Mick McCarthy took over, smashed Derby 4 the other night with Bakuna's brother, I think, nicking a couple as well the other night. So it's a tough ask tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one, and we're against a Cardiff side under the guidance of Mick McCarthy. Matt Murray, someone you know very well.
Yeah, look, super Mick. And when Mick walked into Wolves, Glenn Hoddle had just gone. We'd lost lots of big names, Paul Lynch, Jonian Lescott, Kenny Miller, all those players had gone. And we had a young team. So he looked at it. I was one of the eldest at about 25. And there's Jody Craddock in there, a few experienced players, but straight away he got to work. And what he does, he's not surprised that he's done what he's done with Cardiff, because with Wolves, he didn't inherit a great squad, yet we finish in the playoffs. And he wheels and deals and he gets the best out of people. He's gone into Cardiff, inherited a fantastic squad. He keeps it simple, but he's got an aura about him. He has real aura. He's an amazing people person, but he's got that little bit of a side. So you see him and it's still Gaffer, you're all right. And we've had to interview him for Sky. He's got something about him where you'd run through brick walls for him. You'd do anything for him, but you'd never want to upset him. You wouldn't want to disappoint him. He galvanizes the whole club. He makes football simple. So your roles are clear. Everyone would talk to me, I'm not the best kicker. Matty, catch it, throw it, kick it in that order. I don't care. Just make the saves, do that. And it'll have gone in there. Kiefer Moore will feel $1 million. Ojo, people like that. So roll accounts against Derby. Derby tried to play out from the back. And when I've seen Huddersfield, you do sometimes like to play. Well, the press will be bang on. They'll be organised and they'll get the ball from back to front. It won't mind not having that much possession. But yeah, for me, Mick McCarthy is the best manager I've ever played under. He's the best people person I've ever worked for. He's a proper leader. Terry Connor behind him. So I'm not surprised that, yes, how well they've done, yeah, that's unbelievable. But I'm not surprised he's had a big impact. And going back to Yorkshire, he'll be all over this.
Yeah, so Matt, just on the Mick McCarthy thing. So when he's gone into Cardiff, what do you think he's changed? What has actually happened? Sort of the former manager's gone in there, started quite well, and it's obviously gone badly, and he's left the club. Formation, or is it just about the fact that he gets the best out of the players that are already there?
I think if you look at, obviously Neil Harris would have inherited a Neil Warnock squad, and if you look at how Mick has always played, he likes width. And when we were at Wolves, when we got promoted under him, there was lots of goals. There's times when you have to scrap. So sometimes, he always says you've got to win. It's winning football. So, yeah, he'd have gone in, organised them, had the little... Terry Connor's really good at going around and having little one-on-one chats and working on the training ground. And I say just keeping it simple. So they've looked at Shea Ojo and gone, right, why are you with us? You have got the ability to play for Liverpool. You've had all these loans, but if you give us the out-of-possession side and then the brilliance we know you've got just for 2 minutes and the in possession, you'll be a player. And then just taking that time and looking at people, playing to their strengths, not overcomplicating it, as I say. And that's how he did it with Wolves. I'm sure if you look at his promotions, you look at Ipswich, things like that, he overachieved. So, yeah, he'd have looked at that squad and thought, these players actually fit how I like to play football. We've got good wingers. We've got big centre halves. Yes, we'll play a bit, but when we have to have a scrap, no problem. And that's what I believe every Mick McCarthy's team has a serious identity of what he's about, which is 100% commitment. And you just feel like if you make a mistake, as long as it's an honest mistake, no problem. If you don't win your individual battles, players don't run hard. If I pulled out of a challenge or didn't come for a cross, then he'd let me know about it. But as long as it's honest, no problem, do that. And I think that's what he's done, simplified it and just got the best out of everybody.
It's interesting, Matt Glennon, what Matt Murray's just said there, because he was talking about the press and what they did against Derby County. If you noticed on Tuesday night, we didn't play out from the back so often. We looked a bit longer at times, and Carlos said, didn't he, post-match, that was to try and avoid the press that Birmingham would put on us. So maybe this evening we might see something akin to that.
Well, that's the good thing, because we talk about Carlos Corberán being very rigid, not changing anything. He's going to play this way until the very end. Either he gets promotion or he ends up not at the club anymore. And it was good that he's looked at his squad now with the ridiculous amount of injuries and everything else that's happened. And he's thought, yeah, I am going to tweak it. You know, I mean, we have had a chat between ourselves as a staff. We've had a look at the games that have gone and seen where things have gone wrong. And he's tried to tweak it a little bit. Yeah, it wasn't a great performance, let's be honest. It was hard working. There's some people labelled it after the game when we did the phone in that it wasn't hard work, there wasn't commitment. I don't agree with that at all. They just couldn't pass the ball to each other, just like Birmingham. But they were working, they were together, they were trying different things. And it was good to see that Corberán, has just tweaked the way he's playing a little bit. And obviously with the introduction of the new striker coming in as well, I think tonight's game we'll see something slightly different again. And like Matt was just alluding to there, if Cardiff are going to work that hard on the press, then I don't want to see Ryan Schofield playing 5-yard passes in his 6-yard box to his centre half, because they'll get destroyed. So it's going to be interesting tonight to see what happens. And the sun keeps coming through the roof in my thing and making my hair look even worse than it already is.
Pilks, have you played against a side led by Mick McCarthy before?
Yeah, obviously I've played against the Ipswich sides that he had, and obviously you've seen what's happened to Ipswich the last few years since he left. And I think he had probably the smallest budget. He spent the least money in the Championship, but he was constantly getting Ipswich into the top half of the table, in just outside the playoffs. So obviously when obviously being a Norwich player as well, I was always watching what was going on there, and every time I went there, I got a few boos and that. So it was always nice to play against these teams and beat them. So. But like I said, you've seen what happened when he left Ipswich, and obviously they went down. And sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for as fans. They weren't happy with the style of play, which a lot of fans want to see this flow in football. But at the end of the day, if you're getting results, it doesn't really matter. And I think I seen the game the other night, and they had 27% possession against Derby. But they've had 11 shots on target and scored 4 goals and kept a clean sheet. So it's obviously working. And like Matt Murray said, obviously he's Neil Harris obviously inherited Neil Warnock's squad, and I think they played Borough not too long ago. And I've heard that Neil Warnock came out and said that I thought we were direct when I was the manager there, which obviously Warnock gets a lot of stick for that. But he said, bloody hell, obviously I didn't expect it to be like that, but they're getting results. He's obviously 10 games in and they haven't lost a game yet. So it's going to be difficult for Huddersfield tonight. They're playing against a team that are free-flowing and free-scoring. But like you say, obviously they tweaked it a little bit. I didn't see Huddersfield's game the other night, but they tweaked it and went a bit longer. But I think that plays into Huddersfield's hands when you see the 3 lads that they've got at the back at the minute, in Morrison, Flinton, and is it Nelson as well? So
it's Nelson, yeah.
It's going to be really tough, because obviously Cardiff are winning balls off the press as well. So they're going to have a lot of ball, Huddersfield. It's just what they do with it, and it's going to be tough, because like I say, they're playing against a team that are free scoring at the minute. You've got big Kiefer Moore up front, who I played with last year. He's banging in the goals. turned into prime Zlatan Ibrahimovic this season, and it's really suiting his game. It's obviously what he needed. You know, this type of service and this type of play, and Mick's been brilliant for him. He's on fire, he is. So it's going to be really tough for Huddersfield tonight. It's like I say, it's what they do with the ball, and you know, it's going to be tough because they haven't kept a clean sheet for a long time now, Huddersfield.
Well, yeah, in the last game, Keith Moore got 2, and Morrison at the back as well. They were the 2 key players who Huddersfield Town really struggled to get hold of on the night down in Cardiff. So, as you say, Keith Moore's in a little bit of form at the minute, and Morrison just does what he does. So, the Town are going to have to make sure they combat them too, as well as their team full of confidence.
Well, that's what it is. Obviously, Huddersfield haven't got massive confidence in a minute in keeping clean sheets. I know they've got a lot of injuries to, you know, defenders, so it's, you know, they're chopping and changing who's coming in at centre half. But you know, they're going to get a barrage tonight from long throws, corners. You know, you look at the 3 players there. Obviously, Morrison, Flint, and Kiefer Moore, and you're looking at 6'6", 6'7". So it's, you know, there's going to be a lot of balls coming into the box, so it's hard to deal with it. But like I say, it's going to be tough. Huddersfield are going to have a lot of ball. It's just what they do with it.
I suppose that's the key, Matt, isn't it? It's what we do with the ball. Like the guys have said already, Derby had around 70% possession against Cardiff and came on the end of a 4-0 defeat. If we can play the way we want to and mix things up a little bit, we will create chances and have a good chance.
Yeah, I hate stats. I hate possession stats and all that rubbish, because nothing. You say 4-0 and 20-odd% possession. Bloody hell. Yeah, the thing is about Town's possession is they've got to make it count. You know, it's a saying that's been used a million times. You can do all the fancy football, like Matt was saying a minute ago. If there's no end product, there's no point. The good thing is about Town, they do create chances now. It's not all just tippy-tappy, sideways, backwards, half, 18-yard box defending. They do create chances. They create a lot of chances. It's now about finishing them. Campbell's goal on the other night, wow. Left-footed volley outside the box, absolutely superb. Doing more things like that. Any knockdowns, any mistake from Cardiff has got to be seized on tonight, because, as you say, they're unbeaten in 10. I don't think Huddersfield have beat them since 2003. You know what I mean? I think I was still at school then, and it's been a good while since they beat Cardiff. They've won at John Smith's 3 out of the last 4. So, you know, the odds aren't there tonight. It's Mick McCarthy's thousands game. You know it's going to go wrong for Cardiff tonight.
But I think picking up on some of those points, though, so you're not. If I was in the Huddersfield dressing room now, I'd be saying, don't give needless free kicks, corners, even throw-ins away, because you know it's going to come into your box. Then, like you've said, Pilks, the size of some of those players are massive. There will be quality deliveries coming in. And I always said, Mick McCarthy looks at his strengths straight away. What are our strengths? So if we can put quality balls in, we've got the desire to attack. So then if Richard Stearman's playing, he'll know all about that, because he played under Mick. He got promoted under Mick. So then it's about, even if you can't get that great first contact, can you still do enough to stop your man? And then second balls, you just said it there, Matty, that second balls are going to be massive. If they get any quality service into Kiefer Moore, he's going to nod them down. Then you got Bakuna onto it. You got other players, you know, Rules. They got real quality in there, and they'll play when they get on it, and, you know, and they'll look for territory. So I think you've got to, first and foremost, you know, Huddersfield now are slipping away. When I watched Huddersfield, the last time I watched you guys live, it was against Blackburn. I thought you were excellent. Played some really good stuff. I thought, and is Toffolo not in the side at the moment because he's
injured.
Because I thought he was excellent outlet for you. The work rate at the front. So I think if Fraser Campbell is pressing, you know, Flint and Morrison and saying, you can't have any quality dropping it in, then you got to be looking at the second balls. But the other thing is for Ryan Schofield. Can he go and relieve any of the pressure? So I think he's a really good shot stopper. He's a young keeper. But these are the ones I think as a goalkeeper, you've got to be going, right, I'm brave. Hold the line, boys. Hold the line. I'm going to protect that space. You put any balls in there, long throws, whatever, I'm coming. I'm going to get involved. Take every ball on its merit. But I think they're the things. So if Huddersfield can match the fight, then I do think there's a quality there. But otherwise, if it goes into that, either take too many chances at the back or aren't up for those individual battles, then I would fear, because if Cardiff get that first goal, wow, I think they could really, really have their tails up.
Well, obviously we're going to have to talk goalkeeping, because there's two of us.
Sorry, Pilks.
As well, but yeah, you're right. Ryan Schofield, it's a huge night for him, because it's been tough lately. He's not made masses of mistakes that have led to goals. I mean, distribution's been good, as you say, shot stopping. I just think sometimes at the minute, and you'll know this, Matt, when your defenders and their holding midfielders aren't quite all doing their job properly all the time, you start coming for things you wouldn't usually come for. You know, when you start trying a little bit harder, and instead of being that discipline of maybe staying on your line and just not coming, but making that brave decision either to come or not come, I think they're getting caught in between, because they're trying to do each other's jobs in an honest way, where you want to help the team, but sometimes, you know what I mean, it's better to not come than come. And if you are, you've got to make sure it's the right time, and you take everyone, the ball, the man, and you've got to be strong. It's a really tough night, I think, tonight for Ryan Schofield.
And I think Mick's landed on something there, and we'll bring it back to Huddersfield Town. Alex Smithies, what a goalkeeper he was for Huddersfield Town, and he was in at Cardiff, super solid. Had a illness or something on the pitch. Dylan Phillips has come in, who was Charlton's player of the season, even though they got relegated. And he's come in and he's been absolutely fantastic, and he's keeping clean sheet. But they've got two number ones. And that might be a little bit that, again, where with Ben Hamer leaving, for Ryan, it is a big ask. And you've got Luttweiler come behind him. But I think that's something that Mick sort of landed on with Cardiff. The fact that he's got two number ones and say that real pressure. But I feel for Ryan, because at this time, sometimes with a younger keeper, you might wish he had that bit more experience and could just take him out the firing line for a little bit. If that indecision has crept in, he might not be as good a goalkeeper, but sometimes that experience of a calmer one, like a Stockdale or someone like that, who just comes in and goes, I'm chilled. I'm very decisive in what I do.
Yeah, it certainly will be an interesting night for Ryan. And second balls, which Matt Murray touched upon just then, Matt Glennon, they'll be key, won't they? We spoke ahead of the Birmingham game about the midfield cutting out passes to the striker and feeding off them, and Alex Vallejo will have a really important night this evening.
Yeah, it will. It's important because, again, he is a decent size as well, 6'2". You know what I mean? He's going to be needed aerially as well, but he's just got to make sure he keeps all of the ball. Challenges with Jonathan Hogg not playing at the minute. Yeah. I mean, the tackles in midfield are nowhere near. Again, it's a stat which I don't like, but actual winning of the ball in midfield has gone down significantly since Jonathan Hogg's not in the team. So Leo's got to add a little bit of, physical with his challenging tonight, but he's just got to make sure he keeps the ball. Too many times the ball was given away against Birmingham, so he keeps it calm because he is a good footballer. We're seeing that he's a good footballer. The more minutes he gets on the pitch, the more time he gets with his teammates in first team action. He's a very good footballer. But tonight, I say he's got to be on with his tackling as well as his ball play.
Pilks, have you kept in touch with any of the guys at Huddersfield Town? You know Harry Toffolo as well, don't you?
Yeah, obviously I played with, obviously Toffolo was coming through at Norwich. So when I was, when he was a younger lad, and, I seen him play in the youth team and all that. So he's a great lad, and obviously played against him last season. So he's obviously a big miss. Obviously Hoggy as well, like you say, he's a midfield general. So and obviously the captain. So it's always going to be difficult, and hopefully, obviously players can step in. But yeah, I keep in touch with all my old Huddersfield pals, Gary Roberts, Lee Peltiers, James Vaughan's. We're really good friends. So. Like I say, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Huddersfield tonight. Without, I think they got 9-10 injuries to players that probably would start. So it's always going to be tough. So coming up against a big team like Cardiff, who are flying as well. So it's it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to watch the match actually, because obviously it's a good chance for Huddersfield to pick up 3 points, because the teams around them have got some tough games tomorrow. You look at Rotherham going away to Brentford, and I think is it Birmingham have got to go to Reading, so who are doing well. So it could be a big night for Huddersfield if they can work it out and they can keep the ball and obviously make sure that they create chances and put a few away. Obviously, it's going to be tough to keep a clean sheet against Cardiff, and obviously Mick's flying. He's unbeaten since he's been in there, but you can't win every game.
Well, that's it.
Liverpool found out, so why can't it be tonight for Huddersfield?
Yeah, and going into the Swansea game, another Welsh team. A bit of Welsh success. This year. Everyone was saying the same thing. I actually predicted a Town win before the Swansea game because I thought I'm going to go against the grain and annoy a few people, which I enjoy doing on the radio on a weekly basis. And I thought, no, they're going to get something. You could sense it. Swansea didn't turn up massively that day. Town were excellent. You just feel it's a slightly different prospect against a very reared up Cardiff team. But Swansea were flying. You know what I mean? The Championship is a very strange place at this moment in time. I don't think there's as much quality as there was maybe 5-6 years ago. Inconsistency, especially with the teams. I watched the Sheffield Wednesday Rotherham game. I watched most of that, and again, that was a poor game. You know, in quality-wise, I don't know if nerves are getting to people. It's quite early on in the season for nerves to get to people, but I just feel that the gap between top and bottom, or maybe second, third, Norwich. Norwich are a big team, big players. But that section there between the bottom lot and the middle to slightly higher in the league, anyone can win. It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
I agree with that, and that's, I think, if you look at QPR, suddenly the run they put together, but now they're on a little wobble. There's a lot of teams that are streaky, and I think Pilks as well. A massive point you made there is that Huddersfield are playing tonight. So I always used to think it can work both ways. If you go and get that result, you know that those other teams that have travelled and be in the hotels or this and that, they'll be watching the game. They'll be
watching,
yeah. Go and put that performance in. Go and get the win. And then, even though Matty, you said I don't know about you, it feels like the strangest season because it is. There are a lot of games to play, but it already feels like, like it's a relegation. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a normal season.
This is the part in it where the league starts to take shape. So you're getting dragged into a relegation battle or a promotion. Like obviously you're chasing promotion, you're trying to get in the playoffs. So you know that you're getting into the last 10 to 15 games where it's starting to define. Where before it was like everyone's getting settled. You look at Barnsley. Barnsley have put a run together, and all of a sudden they're pushing playoffs, and no one's seen it coming. A month ago, and
look where Cardiff were before Mick took over. It was a relegation. Exactly. That's why the manager lost his job. So I totally
manager lost his job.
Yeah. So I think that Huddersfield will be thinking, right, we perform like we did against Swansea. We go and kick on. We have got quality in our squad. We get a result. Then over to you, Rotherham, over to you, Birmingham, like you're saying, and all these teams. But it does feel, for me, who works in the media, obviously I don't play anymore, I'm not around, but I'm listening to everything that comes in. It already feels like there is so much tension going on. And maybe that is filtering into
tension's the right word. You feel it already. Like obviously I'm only in the stands and, as you say, it's in the media watching it as well, but you can feel it. And then with obviously, because we have the phone-ins, we have interaction with fans and everything else, and you're feeling like it's clear it off the line already. You know what I mean? It's a Jimmy Glass moment every week. You know what I mean? It is. It's mad. I don't know if it's because of the situation the world's in and fans not being there. So the tension within, is not so much in the stadium, but just you can feel it on the outside world, because people have got so much time to watch and scrutinise everything that's going on right now. But I agree with you. It does feel like we're in the last 2 games of this season and you need to get 1 win.
And that's why I think Mick will have had an advantage as well, because he's been there and done it so many times. Again, like I go back to the
tonight. You don't get to 1,000 games. What you're doing.
Exactly. So he's seen it, he's done it. And that's what I would say, again, a big quality of Mick. So I remember the teams that I was successful in, we had the big names, and the big names calmed us young pups down, So when we got promoted in 2003, I know you were still in school, Matty. I was playing then. But when we got promoted then, we had the young lads like Lee Naylor, Jolie and Proudlock, myself, Keith Andrews, but then we had the experienced heads. Paul Butler, Paul Ince, Dennis Irwin, and they calmed us down at any moment. Dave Jones, experienced manager. And again, when Mick came in with us young players in 2006, there were a lot of young players, gave loads of debuts. He was the most level person. I can't explain to you. If we beat the Albion, he was the same as if we got slapped by the Albion or we lost the bottom of the league. He was just the most, this is the process. This is what we do. We don't get sucked into all that. Just keep it. Do you know what I mean? And he's one-to-one chats and the way he spoke to you. So again, I think that might be in a time that's the craziest year for everyone in life. The way he handles things, again, might be a reason why his team has been so successful.
The experience there's a really kind of key point, I think, because if you look at Huddersfield Town's run since the turn of the year, a lot of those kind of key leaders have been unavailable for whatever reason, whether that be suspension or mainly through injury. And now Matt Glennon, really the only kind of experienced heads that we have in the kind of starting squad or matchday squad have been Richard Keogh and Richard Stearman, who obviously has just come back from injury.
Yeah, it has been tough. Missing Jonathan Hogg, even Aarons, who's coming from Newcastle. You can tell he's got a voice. He is so determined because he wants to win. He wants to, get crosses, score goals, and you can see he's got that aggression that you need as well, and obviously top flight experience. So yeah, when your leaders are taken out, your talkers. So I don't know if you fellas agree with me, but I do feel talking is slightly going out of the game. That real voice on the pitch is usually just one or two now. Where say when we all started out, there'd be a few more voices to put things right on the pitch. So not having that for Town, and as like Pilks mentioned before, the inconsistencies in the back line constantly because you're having to chop and change with your centre halves. Christopher Schindler, not even mentioned him yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's nowhere near coming back to fitness. So to miss those key players and so many of them, I think it's give Carlos Corberán a really bad hand this after Christmas run that they've got. And yeah, I'm not making excuses, but when you miss that many players and that many key players, and as I said, talk about that general in the midfield who does the tackling, stopping the through balls, stopping the easy ball into a Kiefer Moore or something like that. It does make a huge difference.
Pilks, we couldn't have you on without discussing your time at Huddersfield Town as well. I don't think Town fans would ever forgive us for that. How much did you enjoy your few years at the club?
Yeah, they were great years. One thing I would say that made it obviously a lot better, and I'm sure obviously the two Matts will tell you, is when you've got a good dressing room, there's nothing beats it. If you go into a great dressing room, it makes it so much easier. It makes turning up to training so much easier. It makes playing, it makes winning comes a lot easier. And that's what we had there. The characters that we had in there, like I say, Gary Roberts, who's obviously just got a job at Mixo Club Ipswich as assistant manager. So that's when you're starting to feel old, when your best mates are starting to turn into coaches and agents and managers and whatnot. So I'm feeling a little bit older now. So you used to all your mates playing and messaging on a weekend. How did you play? Now what was the game like? Obviously, it was his first coaching session yesterday as well at Ipswich. So it was a message of, how'd your first session go? so that's when I know I'm starting to get a bit older now. You don't realise until it actually creeps up on you. But no, I'm still in touch with, obviously, like me, Peltz, Robbo, Vorney. We go away most years on holiday with the families. They're all really close, and obviously Danny Ward's still in contact with Wardy that's there, and obviously Alex Mills that's now at Cardiff. We had a great dressing room. Obviously Lee Clark, the manager, Terry McDermott, and obviously Blackie that was there at the time. So it were great times. We had a lot of fun. How we didn't get promoted with that team, I don't know. But you look at that League One, and the teams in that league at the time was unbelievable. You had your Sheffield Wednesdays, obviously Leeds, Southamptons. Leicester. They were all big clubs. Leicester. Yeah. And obviously I think Peterborough ended up
Forest down there then.
Forest were Championship, I think, that in that league when we were down there. Then I think they were just Championship at the time. But it was a tough league, tough league, and obviously we got beat in the playoff final, so which was massively disappointing. I couldn't play the last, I think, 2 months of the season because that's obviously I played my last game for Huddersfield at the Gal Farmers it was when I broke my leg against Rochdale, so obviously missed the running and missed the playoffs and the final. So that was, it was disappointing to leave the way I did. Obviously
that's why they didn't get promoted. That's the reason.
Well, I didn't want to say that, Matt, but now you bring it up. But no, it was a great time, and I loved it. I loved the people there. I loved the fans. I had a great rapport with the fans, and it was just a really great time for in my career. Before I went to Norwich, so I always look back, and we always look back, me, Peltz and Robbo, and that we got great stories and great memories from the time there. Obviously Dino had just took over at the time, so the club was kind of just coming together. Dean put a lot of money into it, and obviously we were training here, there and everywhere at the time, so but we just got on with it because we just had a great time and a great squad, and we were all just best mates, and it didn't matter where we trained. We were training in porter cabins one week, we were training at the stadium one week, just anywhere, literally walking down from Stores or the car park there, but no one moaned, no one bothered. Like, not these days. Oh, we've got to walk down 10 minutes in our boots on the stones and on the pebbles, ruining our boots. This isn't football. Like, no one cared. It was just get on with it. Everyone had a smile on their face, and I think obviously the staff, the staff had a big part to play in that as well. Obviously Steve Black and obviously Lee Clark, Terry Mack, and the rest of them that was there. It was just a really great place to be at that time in my career.
You see that togetherness, Pilts, that you talk about. Do you feel that maybe some of that might be problems? Because the way I've understood it, Huddersfield have got quite a lot of new players, and when you've got a pandemic, because I believe this has been an issue. I'll bring it back to Wolves. That the Wolves lads were so close, table tennis, this, that, all meeting up, going for food. Yeah. When we had that with Mick, he grew that massively, We'd go for little meals together, we'd go bowling, go-karting. And sometimes when you're down there, and with this pandemic, you can't do that. So there's a lot of young lads who are just having to go home. And you talked about how difficult it was when you was in India, wasn't it? And you just, and you suddenly train and go back to your room, And you talk about that bonding where you're really linking that togetherness on and off the pitch. Again, that's been a massive part of success of teams I've been in. I don't know if that would be an issue here at Huddersfield. Yeah,
well, definitely. Obviously, when you've got new players, the more time you spend together, the more you gel. So obviously now with the COVID rules and the stuff like that, with the pandemic, you're on the training pitch, but you can't use the changing rooms. So you haven't got that, the banter in the changing rooms, the camaraderie, sit down together. You can't sit down in a restaurant because you're having to take your food away. I don't know if it's still the same now, but this is obviously when I was at Wigan, coming towards the back end of last season in the pandemic, when we restarted, it was a case of you drive in, you can't park next to anyone. You walk straight onto the training pitch, you train, you pick up your packed lunch and you go home. I don't know if it's still as strict as that now, but for new players coming in, from overseas that don't really know the language, and they're literally coming, probably a lot of them are in hotels because they wouldn't have had time to find an apartment, find a house, so they're probably still stuck in a hotel. It's really difficult, and I think it's tough because everyone sees footballers as kind of robots. It's you're going out and playing football. Well, footballers have got families. Footballers have got friends. Footballers have got feelings, emotions, and it's almost becoming now, obviously with the mental health side of it, it's coming out a lot more that at the end of the day, footballers are humans. They're the same as everybody else. So when you're at home and you're a fan and you're watching football, and then you wake up the next day and you're stuck in the house, like Glennon said, he's stuck in the house. He had to do a bit of gardening yesterday. Well, that's the same as a footballer. You go into training and then you're coming home and then you're stuck in the house, and it's like, well, what can I do now? I can't go and see my friends. Yeah. And it's tough for everyone. And yeah, everyone wants to see the team winning and the players playing 100% every game, but it's not going to happen, especially in this pandemic now. It's not going to happen. And, you know, you really got to get behind the lads. And, you know, with social media going the way it is at the minute, and any little mistake, and you've got all the racism, you've got the blame and the culture, and that's not good for anybody's mental health. And, you know, as soon as you pick up, you know, your phone after the game, you've got loads of messages if you made a mistake, and you get lads are getting racially abused for one mistake or missing a chance, and it's just ridiculous. And a little thing that bugs me as well is people are saying they're not football fans. Well, they are, because they're watching football. This needs to change. Like, football needs to take a stance now and say, well, it is football fans, because these are the people watching. If it's not football fans, they wouldn't know Marcus Rashford's missed a chance on the 70th minute, and the next minute, for the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that he's getting racially abused. Like, it is a football problem, and it is fans of football that they are creating. Yeah, it's a minority. Don't get me wrong; it's not everyone, but this blame culture, this hammering people on Twitter and Instagram, the racism side of it needs to change, because it's no good for anyone. Especially, you look at how we're living at the moment, and everybody's struggling. We should be sticking together and helping people through this. Everybody struggles. So going back to the football side of it, yeah, it is difficult. Obviously, going back to the squad, the team building. If everyone's happy and everyone's together, and it's so much easier to create that environment. And obviously, when times do get tough, obviously on the training pitch, it's a little bit easier, because you know you're there with your mates, you know you're there with your best mates who you're spending a lot of time with away from the training ground as well. So you're going through it together. Where in you know, at the minute, it's literally like, you turn up for an hour and a half, 2 hours, because that's all you're allowed on the training pitch, and then you're going back to your room, and then you kind of start overthinking it, and then it's so tough. And I know people say it's just a game of football, but footballers have emotions, footballers have feelings, and it's.
Hey, Phil, I think what it is there's no escapism. It's work and home, work and home. Whereas now, like, me and Matt are retired, we can crack a beer open. You know what I mean? We can have
exactly. And especially with all the games coming, you play Tuesday, you play Friday. It's not like you can go home and sit and have a beer and sit on Zoom. You're literally in training the next day doing recovery sessions, then you're training again, obviously Thursday, and then you're straight into the game Friday. So, but like you say, like there's no escape. And I had this in India, obviously just got back now. So we were there for 5 months, and we couldn't leave the hotel. So obviously we've got all the lads literally eating in one restaurant. Obviously going back to your room, you couldn't sit around the pool, because obviously that's a rule in India that you weren't allowed to sit in the pool in the hotel. You're not allowed to leave the hotel. So it was literally like, you get beat on a Tuesday night, you're going straight back to the restaurant, you're eating with all the lads, you're eating with the staff, you wake up the next day and you're in breakfast, you're in your training kit again, and there's no escape from it. And it's just like, there's no like, oh, you can just go and spend a bit of time with your family and go out and about, and that's what footballers are living with right now. And it's, yeah, they get paid nice money, and obviously, you know, they've got nice houses and nice cars and that, but at the end of the day, footballers are still human beings, and it's no different from when you're having a tough time at work, in the office or in the factory, and you come home and someone's giving you a bit of stick, and you can sit there and have a beer, and you're like, oh,
I don't know how Mick's doing it.
I've got to go back in tomorrow.
Because Mick's lost his biggest advantage then, because whenever we went on pre-season, or whenever he let us have a little thing, so he used to sometimes organise like go-karting or pre-season. If we worked hard, had done a little run, a good run of game, he'd give us a little bit of time off. But there was always a curfew. So then we get Gary Breen to ring the gaffer, and he'd hold the phone up to the lads, and the curfew might be midnight or 1 o'clock. I remember
the lads are loving it. Can we have an extra hour?
Yes, they were all singing Super Mick down the phone. Super Mick. And then they go, all right, boys, extra hour or 2 hours.
I love that.
We'd all be doing the conga around the pub and stuff like that.
When you wake up for 2 weeks' wages, fine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, though. He'd sit there in the lobby, So then if you broke and be like, Gaffer's in the lobby, you've got 1 minute to get back, 2 minutes, because you didn't ever want to disrespect him.
Yeah.
He'd give you something, but if you ever, does that make sense, abused his kindness for a weakness, then he'd come down on you. So
fire exits were invented for, Matt.
Say again, sorry?
That's what fire exits were invented for.
Well, that's what I was saying, but that's the problem with the pandemic. You can't even sneak out or break a curfew. You gotta behave, but those are the days, wasn't it? No social media, fire exits, in and out of hotel windows.
Battered weekly.
I'm sure we could all talk for a lot longer, but I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Town fans, if you're a season card holder, then you can watch tonight's game on iFollow HTAFC. The game is obviously being broadcast live on Sky Sports. If you aren't a season card holder, then match passes aren't available because the game is being broadcast in the UK. Thank you for watching.